Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Repair technicians. While 2 million vehicles are added to our highways each year, those with the expertise to keep them on the road decreases by 5%. The impact on automotive consumers? More expensive repairs that take longer. So encourage a young person to think scientist, think lab coat, think automotive technician. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. You're out for a Sunday drive in the best-looking car in town. Now, what can you do on Saturday to make it beautiful for that Sunday drive? When we come back, I'll give you a shining example.
O'Reilly.
Restore your vehicle's lost power by cleaning your entire fuel system with Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner. Right now, buy one bottle and get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts, plus get double O Rewards points on your purchase. Keep your engine clean with Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
How do you get those shiny cars that just drive better and are worth more? The International Car Wash Association recommends weekly washings and waxing every 6 months. Use cleaner wax for cars exposed to harsh elements, or that are waxed only once a year. For new and garaged cars, use a sealer wax. For both, dry and polish with a wet synthetic chamois. And to remove dried wax from chrome seams and moldings, cut the bristles of a new paintbrush to 3/4 inch and whisk residue away. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Good morning, folks. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Here we go again. We're going to, we're going to talk about maybe today new engines. They're and old engines as well. Oil, tires, you name it. If you have a question for me, John will take your calls. The phones are open, 888-227-2546. That's Car Clinic, 888-CAR Clinic. O'Reilly Auto Parts is a partner of ours, and I want to share with you this morning that if you've got a car problem but you don't know where to go, maybe you're not close to home when your car breaks down, you can actually go to an O'Reilly Auto Parts and they'll help you, because with O'Reilly Auto Parts referral program, it takes the guesswork out of finding a great repair shop wherever you are. So call an O'Reilly location near you or visit O'ReillyAuto.com and click Find a Repair Shop to find a reputable repair facility or service center for your repairs. And I can tell you from experience, folks, local automotive parts houses really know the quality shops, because when they sell a part to that and provide a part to that service shop, they know which service shops have the most returned, because either they weren't installed right or whatever. So that's really great advice. I'll take your calls when I come back. 888-227-2546. Folks, you never want to get surprised by a dead battery. A vehicle's original battery generally lasts about 3 to 5 years, but many fail long before then. Next time you're in for an oil service, have the technician test your battery. Better now than too late. Today's vehicles have start-stop systems, navigation, radio amplifiers, electric fuel pumps, 25 or more onboard computer modules, and serious electronic controls that depend on a strong, fully charged battery. Make sure the car you're driving has a healthy battery. Make yourself a note. Go to autobatteries.com and see for yourself how a battery can keep you safely driving down the road or put you on the side, just like that. At autobatteries.com, you'll see battery technology, battery testing, how to choose the battery, how to jumpstart your battery, and more about AGM batteries, my choice. I'm not here to make you a battery expert, rather to help you better understand why a reliable battery is essential for your road trips. Go to autobatteries.com. All brake parts are not created equal. In the service bay this week, a 2018 Explorer with 65,000 miles. The customer's complaint? Brake pulsation at highway speeds. We performed a road test plus a thorough four-wheel brake inspection using a dial indicator to precisely measure the front rotors. We determined the rotors were warped and had excessive runout. Why? Poorly made replacement parts. This generation Explorer features a heavy-duty brake system designed with large vented rotors, lots of surface area for proper stopping power. The thinner and lighter weight off-brand rotors installed didn't have enough material to support the brake operation correctly. After consulting with the customer, we installed a set of Motorcraft rotors and pads. We also flushed the brake fluid, and the end result was a vehicle that stopped properly, like the manufacturer intended. Motorcraft parts are specifically designed for all your Ford and Lincoln repairs and are backed by a limited 2-year, unlimited mileage warranty, including labor with no commercial exceptions. Motorcraft, right part, priced right. Learn more about Motorcraft brake parts and other high-quality vehicle-specific parts at Motorcraft.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now, Now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with today's program. 888 Car Clinic is the number for you to call. 888-227-2546. Gas prices. Interestingly enough, obviously they're down. Not only are gas prices lower than they were last week, they're lower than they were this time last year. So we're looking at a $2.24, 2.248, and that's the national average. And that is an average nationally. Even in California, the 278, and on the West Coast, the highest prices that I see, actually the government report that I get, is $3.02. So when you look at gas prices, of course, I don't know how many of us are traveling these days, given, the circumstances, but I will say that you still need to keep your car in a shape to where you can take that trip if you have to take a trip, or you want to go somewhere, or just because it's the safe and the right thing to do. You've got a lot of money invested in it, so don't let that slide. And when you have repairs, so the challenge that I find, having some almost 50 years in the automotive service industry, is that people are just not really aware of what needs to be done. And that's another advantage to tuning into Bobby Likis Car Clinic, because I can help you and I can share with you the easy way to be proactive with your automobile and some of the things that you need to do. And I'll do that now. Let's just say that you've got a used car, typical used car. It's 3 years old or 4. Oh, and by the way, the average on the road is over 11 years. The average age of the fleet, that's what it's called in the transportation world, the fleet of cars, is over 11 years. 11.2, I believe, is the latest information. So when you've got an average of 11-year-old car, so just think about that. So we got a 2020, you got a 2010 or a 2009 vehicle. So what condition is that vehicle in? And that depends on, you see, and one of my favorite, quotes is, if you drive the new off of a car, you got to put some new back on it. And so eventually that catches up with you. Now, we know, without my advice, that you have to have tires when they get down to 230 seconds. You have to have brakes when hopefully they don't get down to metal, but when they get low and they're inspected during an inspection and with an oil change. And notice I didn't say with an oil change, because you should take your car in not to get the oil changed, but you should take your car in for an inspection. And while they're inspecting it, add an oil change to it. That's the proper way to do that. Is it the one and the same? Well, no, it's not, because in a fast in, fast out oil change center, their goal is to get you in and get you out as fast as possible. The problem with that is that at the price that those companies charge, they can't stay in business, so they have to upsell. And you know this. Everybody knows this. They upsell, and you can sit in a customer center or a lounge and just wait while they, change the oil and filter in your car, and they're going to come walking out, hey, you need this, you need this. Well, don't slam them. They're actually doing what they have to do to stay in business, and also they're showing you what your car needs. The challenge with that business model is it's old, it's antiquated, and it's like maintenance. Maintenance is obsolete because it is incomplete. And you say, well, what does that mean, Bobby? If you stopped and think about this, ask your neighbor or just ask yourself, what is maintenance? In fact, I'll ask you before I go too deeply into that, what is maintenance? So the first person that calls, I'll send them a Car Clinic prize pack. And I've got some really interesting, an interesting gift today. Some 20 years ago, when a contact, a very dear friend of mine, lost his father, one of the companies that he owned, that he inherited, was an apparel company in North Carolina. So his wife went up and was running that apparel business, and I said, well, hey, why don't we make some Car Clinic leather jackets? And so she made for me 20 examples, and we wore those. I never did quite
I never was quite satisfied with the first prototype, and we never made a second prototype because within about 6 months of that the transition, they sold that business. So I lost my connection there, and his wife came back to Pensacola, and that was the name of that story. So I still have, believe it or not, about 3, 4, or 5. I don't know how many I've got over there, but I've got 3 or 4 of those jackets. Now, I will tell you this, they're small. I don't have any large ones, but they are a red sleeve leather with a black cotton, sort of a thick felt. I'm not a big jacket fan because I have a shoulder issue and I feel trapped in a jacket. So a jacket for me, it would be a sleeveless jacket, which is just a kind of a vest. But the bottom line is, at the end of today's program, I'm going to give one of these away. Now, 20 years ago, I paid $90 a piece, and they were just prototype, and it was a favor to me. So these jackets probably are on the street will be a $200 or $300 value, but quite candidly, I'd like to share them with you because I think it's time for them to move on. Now, I've had them bagged and they've been in storage, so to speak, if you can call hanging in a closet in an air-conditioned room storage. It's a great storage. So I'll do that. And they're really beautiful. I'll get one in here shortly and put it in front of the camera so that all of our Watch Bobby Live folks can see it. In fact, why don't Jonathan, if Jonathan can do that, why don't he come in here and bring a jacket so our Watch Bobby Live folks can see the jacket. They're really, really kind of neat. And I thought that would be just a huge, of course, you bling it's called, folks. We have all kinds of bling. When we have like a party or a customer appreciation at our shop, there's John. Oh yeah, that's good. So John, hold that by the camera, and yeah. So there I'm hiding behind the jacket now. So that's just cool. Anyway, hold it again because people may not be able. Right up there in front of the camera would be great. So you can see there the body of the jacket is black and it's felt material. I'm sure it's cotton or wool. And then the sleeves are red leather, and then each end of the sleeve has an elastic black collar where it doesn't just hang loose on your. I really like that part about the jacket. And then there's a big Bobby Likis Carcanet logo on there, which is kind of cool. Thank you, John. You can just leave that. We'll leave it in there. That's good. Thank you. So I'm going to give one of those away to one lucky. We'll just draw your name out of the hat, and so. Call, and you don't have to meet any requirements except ask a car question. And let me tell you this, the only dumb car question is the one not asked. So 888-227-2546 will take your call and put you in the queue. John will, and then I'll put you on the air. Let's go to Washington and take a call from Mike. Mike, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Connect. Thank you for holding.
Good morning, Bobby. Yeah, it's Mike from Moses Lake, Washington. I've talked to you a few times. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How's things there?
A little bit crazy.
Yeah. And that's
Never thought I'd see a day like this, where
yeah, I know.
It's the hardest thing to find right now is toilet paper, and I just can't wrap my head around that.
Well, that's something that we've all talked about this week. In fact, my wife went to, I think, Publix one day this week, and she sent me a text with a picture of the paper towel, toilet paper rack. Now, the Publix that we have here is, I don't know, I guess 300 feet deep, football field. Well, maybe not that long, but it's at least a couple of 100 feet. And both sides of this aisle were totally blank. And so yesterday, a friend of mine, actually he's the business associate, Alex, he said, "I have a gift for you." I said, what is that? And he reaches in the back of it. This is true story. As we were walking out the door yesterday of the shop, and he hands me a roll of toilet paper. And I thought, and so we made a joke about it. And it's just true, Mike. And so I walked away. I said, "Thanks for the toilet paper." "No, it's not toilet paper." He's a Croatian. "It's not toilet paper. It's a gift. It's a gift to you." So I went home, and another friend of mine had called and said, "Hey, are you just about to leave the office?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I just bought a case of champagne. You come out and give you a bottle of champagne." So I went home, and by the time I got home, Chris and Tracy, they're really nice folks and customers of mine and friends. When I walked in the door at the house, on the kitchen counter, I put a bottle of champagne and a roll of toilet paper. And the funniest thing, my wife, of course, loved the champagne. She says, "What is this?" I said, "These are gifts for the day." True story. True story. So, yeah. Wouldn't you? Who'd have thunk? Who'd have thunk that? Hey, there's a heartbreak. Mike, stay right there, and folks, you call in with a story of your own. Hang in there. 888-227-2546 when Mike and I come back. Folks, we only partner with companies we believe in, like K-Seal, which is an excellent option for repairing a coolant leak, especially for older vehicles that may not be worth the cost of repair. But don't take our word for it. K-Seal was recently used to repair the block on a 1913 Type 22 Bugatti, the oldest running Bugatti in the U.S. The vehicle is worth approximately $2 million. K-Seal is available nationwide at parts stores like Advance Auto Parts. Learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it. It's time for another Berryman Testimonial, where everyday drivers share their experiences with products featuring Hest, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. The result is a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. Ronald writes in about his 95 Olds 88. Carbon deposits were causing problems with the NOx sensors, which resulted in lower fuel economy, 21 miles per gallon. After using Berryman's B12 Chem Tool, MPG is now in the 29 to 31 range. Learn more about Berryman products and their Hest technology at berrymanproducts.com. Folks, this week we had a 2010 Jaguar XF come in with a complaint that the owner could not fill the gas tank. Tommy, our ASE-certified technician, scanned the electronics, tested the module that sends the signal to the gauge, and even removed the back seat and fuel tank access cover to determine exactly how much gas this car really had. It was only 3/4 tank, just as the gauge read. He also checked our database for any relevant TSBs. Great move. Seems Jaguar had issues with some filler necks. We called our local O'Reilly Auto Parts store and asked them to help us locate the parts needed, as there is no local Jaguar dealer. Much to our delight, our local O'Reilly Auto Parts manager found the part, ordered it through his partner stores in another city, and we were able to repair this customer's car without her having to drive to the dealer in another state. We may have taken a bit longer to complete this job, but we made a new customer happy, and she'll come back to our shop whenever she needs any future services. This Car Repair Spotlight brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices, every day.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, where we're talking about everything from tires to toilet paper. so, Mike from Washington. Okay, it's back. I'll turn the mic to you now, Mike. No pun intended.
No problem, Bobby. Well, I believe you asked a question. I think your question was, what is car maintenance? Is that correct?
I did. This is very interesting, folks. And just for you to know, if you just tuned in during the open of the program, I specifically spoke about car repair and driving the new off of the car. If you drive the car, the new off of it, you must put new back on it. Having said that, I said that maintenance is obsolete because it's incomplete. But then I said, well, what is maintenance? So, Mike, I'm all ears in your experience and your automotive experience, or whatever your background is. What is automotive maintenance?
Well, in my personal opinion, automotive maintenance would be assuring the safety and performance of your vehicle as it ages in both miles and time.
Well, you're exactly right, and that is true, because notice that he said, and the key word you use there, gosh, you're reading my book here, my mail. The key word that you said was maintenance and age and miles and age. You put that age factor in there. So could you expand just a little bit on that and say what would that include? Let's say your car has 30 to 50,000 miles on it. Now, we know when the tires wear out, you put tires, and when the brakes wear out. But what other factors are involved, in your opinion?
Well, I can tell you one of the things that I do as I'm maintaining my cars. You know, I do my own oil changes and my own vehicle inspections. I put it up on jack stands and give the wheels a wiggle and make sure that the wheel bearings haven't loosened up and the front suspension hasn't loosened up, and look at the brake lines for cracks and, inspect the brake linings to make sure they're still in good condition. And I rotate the tires front to rear. And on one of my cars, I do side to side because they're not directional tires.
Mm-hmm.
And, just make sure that nothing's cracking and, showing signs of age.
So then in your experience, that inspection is critical, because just the fact of changing oil and filter every 5,000 to 7,000 miles is not the important part. The important part is to visually inspect the vehicle, the belts and the hoses and the undercarriage and those things that are down under that you never see. And you're so right, Mike, because a lot of folks, because they don't know, they put gas in the car and put the key in the car, and if it turns and runs and goes. But then what about the windshield wipers? So there are, you never think about those until it's raining. And then if there's chatter or there's smear, there's no, I don't know if you've ever driven a brand new car, brand new, that you just took off the showroom floor, and or it's an almost new car, and they turn the wipers on and it's not a nice clear, and it cleans and without it smearing the windshield. That doesn't last very long, because road grime and debris gets on the windshield. The windshield gets pitted. All windshields are pitted with miles because of obvious rocks and what have you, even without the cracks. So replacement of wiper blades, and you mentioned oil and filter, but there's some other fluids. And when I say fluids, Mike and folks, I'm talking about all of the fluids for the vehicle, which include cooling, the coolant. It includes the power steering fluid. And these are fluids that must be changed with a schedule. So you start at the front of the car. Let's start at the front of the car. Radiator, that's the coolant. Power steering, the power steering system has no filter in it. So whatever trash, whatever metal and debris builds up inside that power steering, high pressure pump, and rack and pinion steering or integrated steering box circulates. I call it metastasizes. So all of that metal shavings, as fine as it is, travel throughout the system and deteriorate the seals. You could take a rack. You could change the power steering fluid in a car every 35,000 to 40,000 miles, and the rack would probably never leak. Or you could just let it go for 100,000 miles and spend $1,500, $1,200, whatever, to replace the rack and pinion, because that's a high pressure unit, like a garbage truck uses that ram to pick up the big and dump the trash. Well, that's what a power steering rack does. It is the ram that steers the car. So oil and filter, yes. Power steering fluid, absolutely. Transmission fluid, even though manufacturers are saying Ford says 150,000 miles, but they only guarantee the transmission 50,000 miles. So you see what you think is maintenance and is okay is not okay. until it breaks, and then you find out, well, I wish I'd known. So then transmission, then you have the differential, but more importantly, and Mike, and you know this or may not know this, it's really important if you live in the tropics like we in Florida with the humidity. Brake fluid is hygroscopic, which means it absorbs moisture, and it rusts. This moisture inside the brake fluid causes the calipers and pistons to rust. And this just happened to me this past week on my classic Porsche. Anyway, what else, Porsche? What else would you say was part of maintenance?
Well, one of the main things you really hit the highlight on, and that's transmission fluid, and a lot of people forget about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I drive 160 miles a day every day just to commute to work and back, and I do mine every 50,000 miles, just religiously. And, you know, my one Toyota vehicle, I've now got over 330,000 miles on it, and it's still original clutch, original almost everything. You know, it's gone through a set of wheel bearings and struts and several sets of brakes, but no failures of any kind in that vehicle. But, you know, obviously following the manufacturer's maintenance recommendations as far as time and miles for things. And some people don't actually look into that, and they just go by whatever the highest mileage is, but maybe they drive under what could be considered severe conditions, and they don't follow that recommendation. Maintain your car; it'll definitely last.
You're right. Well, here's a gentleman with 300,000+ miles on his vehicle and no breakdowns, and followed his own rule of maintenance, which is really easier to do than you might suspect. Mike, I sure want to thank you. Let me put you back on hold, and because I want to get everyone's number today, and I'm going to put your name in the hat for the jacket. And by the way, the coat that I'm giving away is only small, so if you're a big guy, it won't fit. But that doesn't mean that it wouldn't fit someone in your family. So I'll keep that. I'll put your name in the hat at the end of the show, which would be at the end of next hour, because we're a 2-hour broadcast. We're going to draw a lucky name out, and hopefully you will be you'll be in the hat for sure. And I really thank you for your input, because you know, it's a two-way street. It's a caller-driven show, and I want to hear what your opinion is. And again, I want to thank you and congratulations on doing a great job on your automobile.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you. Let's put him back on hold then and go to Carol in New York. And folks, recently, in fact, it was last week, as I remember, Carol and I were talking about clutches. Now, here's a lady that's been driving for a long time, and she wanted a new Subaru, but she wanted a standard transmission. What is a standard transmission? Well, it has a clutch in it. And lo and behold, she did order it, and that's what she's drives. So, Carol, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad you called.
Oh, my goodness, I am so excited. I was making a list of maintenance things while you were talking to the previous caller. And also, if you notice, I usually call after 11 sometimes, most of the time.
Right.
But when you talked about that jacket, I made sure I called right in, because this is probably a man small, right?
Yes.
Because I take a woman small, and on rare occasion an extra small. So I'm not real big, but you know what? If I get it, I'll be proud to wear the Bobby Likis logo.
Well, you know, and I wouldn't think of anyone.
I want it.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, maybe I may have to dig 2 coats out of that closet.
No.
But let me just.
I don't want to put a guilt trip.
No, not at all. Now, let me just say this about the maintenance. I did, yours truly, and my team, some 15 years ago, a new service plan that was proprietary, and we trademarked it. It's called pre-repair, and it stands for the prevention of repair. And so I often said, and I do this with no ego involved at all. If I were a doctor and I could cure cancer, I would do it today. I'm sure there are many people out there that would agree with that. So if I were in the automotive repair business, I would want to cure repair. Well, I don't know that people would buy that or not, but I will tell you, for me, after my first 35 years in business, or 37 years or whatever it was, after having to explain to so many people at the end of the day why it costs so much to repair their car, and trying to do it in a gentlemanly way, in a professional manner, when actually the reason it broke down was because of neglect. That's really what breaks down cars, neglect. Now, I'm not talking about hitting potholes and something breaking or bending a wheel or knocking a car out of alignment, which you can do. I'm talking about driving one till the wheels fall off, and then so I'll just get another one. Well, you can't do that any longer because $30,000 for a new car, $35,000. So I said, what can we do? What can we possibly do to help our customers for our service shop, and for me to, quite candidly, buck the industry, because I disagree with a lot of what goes on in my automotive service industry. So we came out with pre-repair, which stands for the prevention of repair, and it calls for the very things that Mike and I were speaking of from Washington about fluid changes from bumper to bumper, tire rotation and brakes and what have you. And not only is it a great plan, but it comes with a protection plan. I won't go into all that, except that I partnered with a vendor that supplies us with fluid and minerals and chemicals and machines that maintain and change all of the fluids of the car from the front to the back, like I just spoke of. And if you do that every 30,000 miles, they actually put as much as $12,000 on a Tahoe with four-wheel drive and what have you, up to $12,000 in repair monies, that if I service the transmission at 30,000 miles and you had to have a $2,000 repair at 35,000 or 40 or 50, they pay the bill. And that's at no additional cost to the owner, and that's all part of the pre-repair program. So it's a huge subject with me. I don't want to take all the time. I know that you called about the clutch. So we do.
But also the maintenance thing.
Oh yeah. Well, we have a break coming up from Carol and the rest of you folks that are calling in right now. Let's stay tuned. We'll get on the other side. Come back on the other side of this, and we'll talk with Carol on development of clutches. With 48 years experience in automotive repair, our service team knows what dirty gasoline does inside an engine. Over time and miles, fuel residue and hot oil vapors create nasty, hardened clusters of carbon that block airflow into cylinders, collect on valves, and build up inside combustion chambers, causing hard starting, rough idle, sluggish engine performance, and bad gas mileage. Solution? Berryman B60 High Mileage Fuel System Rejuvenator. B60 cleans the entire fuel system of all high-mileage gas-powered vehicles with powerful detergents and HEST solvents. That's high-energy solvent technology at work. B60 gives you one-tank cleanup of fuel injectors, intake valves, and combustion chambers. Restore lost power, reduce rough idle, improve fuel economy, and enjoy your drive again. Berryman B60 High-Mileage Fuel System Rejuvenator is the only fuel system cleaner with HEST solvents. Pick up a can at your local auto parts store today. For more, visit BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're talking with Carol in New York. So, Carol, I'm going to turn the mic back to you, and you can kick off this conversation.
Oh, thank you. Well, the fellow that called before, he stole my thunder on a couple of words, but preventive maintenance is like a big thing for me, and I have two key words: be vigilant. And being vigilant about noises, which I have one now that sort of bothers me, mileage, age. At one time, I used to carry a fan belt around with me in a previous car.
Right.
Because if you're stuck somewhere and your fan belt is broken and they don't have your fan belt, you are out of luck. Okay. Then when I had a 93 Tercel, I used to carry a case of oil around with me because it was using oil.
Well, Carol.
Oh, and having a habit of checking the sticker on your windshield, for oil change.
Exactly, and you talk about that belt, in Porsche cars, an extra fan belt came and a toolkit came with the car, and in fact, I have my classic Porsche. I still have the toolkit. I don't have the belt that came with it, but I still have the toolkit, and the toolkit is, of course, the tire. To change the tire, but the screwdriver, pliers. There's a crank in there. It has a sunroof, and if the motor in the sunroof doesn't work, now think about this. This is the 80 model. What's it, 40 years ago? There's a zipper in the headliner, and you just zip the headliner back, and you take the tool and you turn the gear that the motor normally would turn to close the sunroof in case you get out somewhere. I mean, leave it to the Germans to figure out a safe way to make it. But anyway, we're going to talk about clutches. So I want to kick that off. What's your take on that and your questions on that?
Well, I'll repeat what I said last week at the closing hour. That when I had a 1960 Volkswagen in 1960, I read the manual, and I think I said it's about half the thickness of a Reader's Digest, and the instructions were to, you have to always depress the clutch and then let it out very slowly. Mm-hmm. And when you did it slowly, you would hear a whir or a whine, and now I don't do that anymore. Like, when the succeeding cars, I never had to do that. But I usually was in the habit for the longest time letting it out slowly and listening for a noise, which didn't always occur. So I just wanted to know how they've modernized clutches or how they've improved or what all that was.
Well, the most modernization of clutches and the very latest transmission is called a dual clutch transmission. And they started this type of operation with Formula One race cars and so that you could shift from first to second very instantaneously. Now, what is instantaneously? Blink of an eye, without getting technical, the blink of an eye is 0.2 of a second or 200 milliseconds. A new 2020 Corvette can shift in under 100 milliseconds. That's half of the blink of an eye from first to second gear.
But what car was that?
The new 2020 Corvette has a dual clutch transmission. Ironically, and Ford, many Fords came out with dual clutch transmissions, and here's what a dual clutch transmission is. Think of a standard transmission, of course you know what that is, and you manually operate your foot on the clutch, right?
Yep.
Okay, so when you're in first gear and you want to go to second, you have to depress the clutch, pull the gear shift into second, and then let out on the clutch. Agreed?
Correct.
Okay, a dual clutch transmission has two clutches in it. And when you're in first gear accelerating, second gear is already engaged. The gears already engaged, but it's not driven by the same input shaft. So just think of having two transmissions. And let's say you've got an 8-speed transmission, and it's a dual clutch. You've got on one side of the transmission 1, 3, 5, and 7. On the other side, 2, 4, 6, and 8. So whenever first gear is being used to move the car, there are motors inside the transmission that shift second gear and engage second gear. And if you want to go from first to second, all you have to do, all the transmission does, is release the first gear clutch and apply the second gear clutch like that. And
jackrabbit start.
Exactly. And so now what if you're in a second? Well, guess what? The first gear shaft then shifts to third gear because it knows that's what's coming up. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it's like a dance inside the transmission, and it's so quick. And Mustang has it, Ford has it, and I thought this was about high-performance cars. But guess what? The 2020 Bentley Flying Spur, which is the all-new design, comes with, it blew me away. I only learned this last evening, a dual-clutch standard transmission. And what that means is, and Carol, they don't use a dry clutch, although Ford did. They use a wet clutch. So it's like having a hydraulic connector, instantaneously releasable and or engaging. So how fast could you, think about it this way. If you were standing at a stoplight and you had your foot in the clutch and you sidestep the pedal, I mean, you wouldn't do that, but we did that drag racing. But if you sidestep the pedal, then you have instant, movement, or you're going to break something, right? So
say that again. What you said about brakes?
If you were at a traffic light and you had the car in first gear, and the light changed green, if you take your foot and not let off of the pedal, but you sidestepped it, so the pedal would fly up on its own. I mean, that is called sidestepping. That's what a dual clutch does, almost. And
I learned my one new word today.
Sidestep. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting.
How much more room does it take up in the vehicle?
That's a great question. They've reduced the size diameter-wise, and they put 2 clutch packs together, and so a dual clutch pack is about twice the thickness, but you've got a bell housing there, so you've got plenty of room. It's about twice the thickness of a standard pressure plate, and so it actually doesn't take much more room. And just think of this, and then we'll move on to other calls, but I want to think about this. Think about a pogo stick. It telescopes, right? You got the inside stick and the outside. Well, in the pogo stick, the inside, the one that hits the ground, drives 1, 3, 5, and 7, and it's splined. The outside of the pogo stick drives 2, 4, 6, and 8, and it's splined. So you've got 2 input shafts. You have 2 standard transmissions in one, and all you have to do to go from one to the other is either disengage the inside pogo stick and engage the outside shaft, because both those shafts go into the same standard gearbox. It is amazing. It's a dual clutch, and it is the latest and greatest. In fact, anyone that ever drag raced or raced a car will tell you that an automatic transmission is faster, and automatic being dual clutch, than a standard transmission, because it's physically, humanly impossible to change the gears as fast as a dual clutch transmission does on its own. Anyway, that's how cool it is. Anyway,
the other thing is very specialized repair if anything should happen.
Now that's an understatement. That is an understatement.
It sounds like.
Well, if you're going to play, you got to pay. Hey, thank you so much. We'll put your name in the hat, and thank you for calling. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we're going to go from New York to Robert in Kansas. Robert, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yes, I just turned my radio down, Bobby. How are you doing?
Terrific. It's fun.
Oh, just a simple question. I don't drive very far to work, about 6 miles. How long does it take for battery to charge up? Should I put a charger on it over using the alternator? 6 miles to work isn't a long ways. What do you think? on your take on that.
If that's a great question, because an alternator is a maintainer. An alternator charges the battery and maintains it, but also runs the automobile's electronics, and that's a very huge subject today because cars have so much electronics involved. Everything literally starts at the battery, no pun intended. So it takes about 6 miles. Well, historically, let me back up. Historically, it took about 6 miles to replace the energy and state of charge that was used to crank a car historically. That is different today because the alternator load of an engine is controlled by a computer. And I won't get technical here, but just to tell you that if you're driving down the highway and your battery is happy, the charging system electronically backs way down and uses the battery more so than keeping the battery fully charged, so that it can deliver more MPG because it takes less. There's less parasitic draw, and if you don't think there's a lot of parasitic draw, you can let a car be idling, and look at the tachometer, and then turn the headlights and have them on bright. Turn the headlights on, pull the headlight switch, and you look at the tachometer, and the engine will dip down, because when you turn the headlights on, the alternator will load up to offset that current draw, and it will slow the engine down, and then the computer says, oh, wait, let's pick you back up, and you can sit there and watch the tach every time you pull the headlights. So off and turn the headlights off, and then turn them back on. The load comes and goes, and so does the RPM because of the load of the alternator. So for you, if you drive the car daily, it's really not a factor, because ultimately, if you've got a healthy charging system and a healthy battery, it can put up with a little bit of neglect. And you hear me talking about the AGM battery. I know you have if you tuned in. Well, an AGM battery, and by the way, Clarius makes out of every battery in every vehicle in the world, 1 out of 3 is a Clarius battery. So the AGM, and I'll give you one, the Optima, the Optima battery. That battery can survive and perform with less charging than a standard flooded battery. It is easier meaning it's less aggravating and loading on a car's charging system than a standard flooded battery. So for short driving, you would say, well, I don't severe drive here. I just drive back and forth to work 4 or 5 miles. That is even more important to have an AGM battery, because AGM battery is forgiving and has so much energy and so much additional current, and it's such a superior design that it is very flexible and reduces the load. And so it would be accurate to say that a car that had an AGM battery under your circumstances would get even better gas mileage than your same car with a flooded battery. I'll go as far as to say that. That's how great these batteries are. And Optima is one of the brands, and it's what I have in my car. So it's a great battery.
It sounds like an awesome battery. I do have a flooded battery. Would you say that maybe once a week, go ahead and put the battery charger on and give it a full charge?
Well,
being the mileage that I drive.
Well, I would say this. What I use for a car that I don't drive often, I don't do that on my car, so I don't think it's necessary. But for the cars that I don't drive, or for peace of mind, you can buy a digital 400, a D400. Optima, it's a charger, but it's a computerized, controlled unit that keeps the battery fully charged, but knows when to stop. So it actually pings the battery. It's really a neat unit. I've got one, and I use it on my classic Porsche, and I leave it 24/7, 365. It's there, and it does not damage the battery, but it keeps that car ready to go when I'm ready to go. So that's what I would recommend for you. You check it out online. The easiest thing for you to do is to go to optima.com, or even better yet, let me give you a better site, Robert.
Okay.
The one site is optimabatteries.com, but you can go to autobatteries.com, And on YouTube, there's auto batteries, and there's all the information that you need. It's entertaining, and also it's factual, and it's information that you can use to expand the life and extend the life of your car just by having a better battery, just because you know. Go. It's on YouTube. Go to autobatteries.com or optimabatteries.com. Okay?
I sure appreciate that, Bobby.
Yeah, I sure appreciate you. Thank you for calling, Mike. Robert, sorry. I had Mike on my mind because he was the first caller of the day. Now I got Jim and Dee, and the phones are lit up, and the real challenge is that we're out of time the first hour. But guess what? Another great hour coming up. I have some information, so I'm going to ask those of you who are in the queue to please hold. If you don't mind, you can call back, certainly, but I will come back live about 6 minutes after the hour. I have some car buying trends that I want to share with you today. I have information from our partners at the Car Care Council about the pitfalls of potholes, which you need to know about. I'll share with you. And then about a month ago, a question from our Watch Bobby Live listener viewer was a question from Sawyer, a young person interested in entering the automotive service and repair industry. Is a one-year automotive program at a community college, in my case, Bronx Community College, a good way to get my foot in the door, so to speak, in automotive repair? And that's a great question. I'll address those questions and take your calls, and I'm still going to give away this coat at the end of this upcoming hour. So, folks, take a break, stay with me, and I'll be back after the top of the hour. Your host, Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes in a repair shop beyond diagnosing cars. Sometimes technicians get caught up in a repair that just keeps needing more. Recently, an 05 Saturn came in the shop. A 15-year-old car, 150,000 miles. Our young customer was dealing with a coolant leak, a slow, steady drip on the engine area on the driver's side. After a cooling system pressure test, we determined the lower radiator hose was leaking. We replaced the lower hose, topped off the system, and parked the vehicle. All good. Upon prepping for pickup the next day, you can imagine our disappointment to see coolant leaking from the right side of the radiator. A $500 repair. Our solution? A bottle of K-Seal, which can cost under $20. K-Seal features ceramic technology and is designed to repair leaks without clogging. One bottle completely solved the problem, sealed the leak within 10 minutes. K-Seal is available at fine retailers everywhere, like Napa Auto Parts. So when you have a cooling system that has a leak, don't just seal it, K-Seal it. For more information, go to kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Going to be a full packed hour. The phones are already jammed, so now's the time to get in. 888-227-2546. That's 888 Car Clinic. I do have a beautiful, I say beautiful, it's red and black Car Clinic leather sleeve jacket that I'll be giving away at the end of this hour. So for your car questions, all you have to do is ask a car question. It's really easy to do. There are no dumb questions except the ones not asked. So let's get in the queue. Let's get started. And I'll be please help me to be as short as I can with your answers so I can talk to more folks today. Berryman Products is our sponsor, our partner. And this program is brought to you by Berryman and their intake valve and combustion cleaner, which is formulated for use in all fuel-injected gasoline engines. Berryman's intake valve and combustion cleaner helps dissolve that stubborn carbon buildup. Then that carbon buildup it really damages the engine, but it reduces the power and performance. You'll find a dramatic increase in performance and overall drivability just by using the Berryman intake valve and combustion cleaner. You can learn more at berrymanproducts.com. That's berrymanproducts.com. Okay, let's pick up the pace. 888-227-2546. We come back, we're going to D in Kansas, and then your calls. Coolant leaks can be expensive, with repairs costing a few $1,000s or more. And these problems often hit vehicles late in life when they may be only worth a few $1,000s. There is an alternative. K-Seal is a pour-in solution designed to stop leaks and help prevent future leaks. Older sealers use sodium silicate, which has a tendency to clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair the leak without clogging. Learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
O'Reilly! It's O-Rewards Bonus Points Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Earn double points on all sale items like wiper blades, motor oil, tools, and more. Are your wiper blades streaking, shattering, or skipping? Save $8 per pair on Bosch Icon wiper blades, plus earn double O-Rewards points. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You've heard me talk about Motorrad's leading the way with automotive thermostats, fuel, oil, and coolant caps. Now, Motorrad's using their expertise in Tier 1 OEM facilities to deliver advanced engine management solutions. Products like camshaft and crankshaft sensors, ignition coils, mass airflow sensors, even variable valve timing solenoids. And Motorrad's aftermarket products are designed and manufactured to meet or exceed original equipment specifications. Learn more about Motorrad products and industry-leading application coverage at motorrad.com.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextsstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your hosts, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back. Let's get started. We're going to go to the phones. I'll take your questions. The lines are jammed, so keep trying. And Jonathan will take your call and put it in the queue, and I will put you on the air. Just for you to know, if you just tuned in, I'm giving away it's a prototype jacket that I had made, which I was going to get into that bling business years ago, some 20 years ago, and I had 20 of these made. And I still have, I think, 5 or 6 of those that I've kept in storage in bags. So I'm going to give away one at the end of today's broadcast. They're a black and red leather sleeves and black cloth material. They're really kind of neat, and they have Bobby Likis Car Clinic logo. So I hope one of you lucky folks will, well, for sure, somebody's going to get one at the end of the program. So without further ado, let's go to Kansas. 35 minutes that you've been holding, D. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for your patience.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
Bobby. Yes, I got a couple of things. One of them, I talked to you several months back about an older, it's a 90 Ford F-250 beater farm truck.
Right.
Had I think, some head gasket leakage, and you recommended K-Seal and asked me to get back to you on it, and now I am. I had it at a local shop, and they were pretty skeptical of that, but I put K-Seal in it, and to this date, it's been working great. It's done its job, and I'm very thankful for that.
Well, I am too. And what year car was this?
Well, this is, like I said, it was a 1990 F-250 Ford pickup that's kind of it's a farm beater truck.
Right.
Still goes, and I use it as a everyday work truck, and it's done a great job. It's kept it running, even though it's had a good life, but it's getting toward the end of it, so it's worked well.
Well, I really, D, I really appreciate you sharing that, because it's just, I know that it works, and it uses, I say it, K-Seal uses a ceramic product, whereas sodium silicate is what a lot of the other stop leaks have, which is antiquated, old, and can clog. K-Seal will not clog a system, but I'm just really proud that it repaired your work truck there, and that's a really working environment, I would imagine there. What kind of farm what do you farm?
Oh, we have row crops, corn, soybeans, wheat, and some livestock, raise some cattle, and it's not a large operation, but I'm semi-retired now, so I don't need to keep up the work schedule I used to. But I would mention, I had another question for you, Bobby.
Okay.
If I ask, I was listening to your commentary about maintenance, and I kind of know a lot about it. I used to have probably more than a dozen motorized vehicles, and maintenance is very, very important. But a question right now is that my wife has a vehicle that has about 80,000 miles on it. It's a 2015 Grand Cherokee.
Okay.
And my question would be about maintenance. The warranty is about up the original manufacturers, and we're debating whether these aftermarket extended insurance coverages are worthwhile or not, or should we just maintain it, or ourselves?
Well, because of your background, I have two answers to that, and depending on the caller, I would go either way. But because of your background, and because you have historically had experience in detail with maintenance, you understand what maintenance is, whereas most car owners think that maintenance is changing oil and filter and rotating the tires, and whereas you know that it's a thorough changing of all the fluids. So for me, what I would recommend for you to do is to keep that $2,000 or $3,000 in your bank account, keep up the maintenance that you know to do, and your money will be in your pocket, and it will be there for you to use when and if you need it. And yes, sooner or later, you're going to have a window regulator that goes bad, or an alternator that goes bad, or a water pump that goes bad. But I will tell you this, there are companies that provide services that change fluids And one of those companies is that we were partnered with years ago, but no longer, is BG. But BG Products actually has a service where, and they've just changed the coverage. So if you have your cooling system, which is I really highly recommend at this stage, because you're going to lose a water pump in the next 50,000, 100,000 miles anyway. So if you change the coolant, they will actually replace the water pump when it goes out. You have to change it now every 30,000 miles. So that's a free plug for BG because it's a great product, and I use it as part of my program in the service bay. But having said that, I do not believe that in your case, with your history, for you personally, you need to spend the $2,000 or $3,000 to buy an aftermarket warranty. And the aftermarket is a program. It's an extended warranty program. But there are caveats, and so there are only 2 or 3. Route 66 is a good one. Geico has a good one. So you could investigate those. But in the meantime, I would not worry about the immediacy of getting the extended warranty, and that's for you. That's my answer.
I see. Well, appreciate that. I guess it kind of makes me think of the old motto I've had for a number of years was, for instance, changing oil. Oil is a lot cheaper than repairs.
Yes.
So
yes. No, yeah. These days, anything's cheaper than repairs. Yeah. Hey, thank you so much, Dee, for your call, and also for giving me the report on K-Seal that I asked you some 6 months ago. So, that's just affirmation, and that's most appreciated because a lot of people are skeptical about stop leaks, as I. But there are some products that work, and I know those products, and K-Seal's one of them. Thanks again for your call from Kansas.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Okay, let's go to Nebraska now. Jim in Nebraska, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, Bobby, Jim Cutterback. I'm that former senator that you was with on KGFW here in Kearney area.
How are you, my friend?
Maybe you don't remember me. But
I remember you.
Matter,
absolutely. I do remember you. We've talked on occasion. We met there when I came out for the Kappa event there, and I'm going to make my way back there. I promise one of these days for one of those Nebraska car shows, probably. But in the meantime, what's on your mind today?
Well, you asked that maintenance question, and I work out at a classic car museum on Saturdays, and I always tell people when they see me dusting, so how often do you dust? I said just before they need it. You don't wait till they need it. You don't wait till they need maintenance to do it. You do it before. So that's my maintenance thing. I make a long story short here. I bought a 1983 convertible from American Dream Machines there in Des Moines, Iowa. I think that's where it was. Anyway. And it had these fancy tires on it, and they're kind of gold. They got instead of a white sidewall, they're kind of a gold in them. And my simple question is, should you run those things? I think they're 12 years old. Is that permissible, or is it a good idea, or is it stupid?
Well, it's not stupid. It's a good question. What that is, Senator. I will say this to you. The tire manufacturers, whether it's Michelin or Goodyear or Dunlop or what have you, or like all OEMs, they all have their own set of rules. But there is one common denominator for tire manufacturers. They guarantee their tires 6 years. That's why there's a born on date on the side of a tire. But that doesn't mean that because a tire is 6 years old, you can't drive it. However, having said that, the maximum allowable drop dead cutoff is 10 years. So so if you have a tire that is 10 years old, especially if that tire has been on the vehicle and that vehicle is a park outside where you have UV rays that are attacking that tire daily, 10 years is the limit. So, and I'll give you one more example, and then to show you how on track you are, or we are. In my classic Porsche, I finished the restoration of that car in 2004. That vehicle's never been parked outside since 04. I've only driven it 1,500 miles since 2004, and it cranks and runs, and it's just beautiful right now. I bought a new set of tires. In 04, they have 1,500 miles. I'm going to be selling that car. I'm not going to put a new set of tires because these are new, but they're what, 15 years old? Well, 16 years old. So I wouldn't feel comfortable driving that car from the East Coast to the West Coast, nor would I be comfortable with selling it without telling the buyer, hey, this car needs a set of tires. What do you mean? All the rubber's there. Yeah, but the tires, even though that car's never seen the sunlight except for 1,500 miles since it's been restored, and it is as new. So that's what my answer to you is. 10 years is the drop dead, so a new set of tires is in store for you. And again, Senator Jim, thank you for calling from Nebraska. Folks, your calls when I come back. Don't go away. Being car care aware is important all year round, but winter is an especially critical time as harsher conditions can strain your automobile. Here are a few items to check, courtesy of the Car Care Council. Winter means shorter days and longer nights. It's a great time to make sure interior and exterior lights are working properly, and don't forget to make sure your headlights are properly aimed. This item is often overlooked. The best way to warm up your engine in the winter is to drive gently at the start. Make sure your ice scraper and snow brush are accessible, and replenish your emergency kit. Jumper cables, a flashlight, blankets, extra clothes, bottled water, non-perishable food, and a first aid kit with any medication that may be needed. It may seem like a lot, but better safe than sorry. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove compartment. That's carcare.org. Today's Repair Spotlight is for gasoline-powered engines with 60,000 plus miles. At this age and high mileage, vehicles can develop irritating small oil leaks that can make a mess and ultimately cause serious damage to engine and chassis components. The solution? Berryman's B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator. It's simple to use and safe for engine components like catalytic converters and oxygen sensors. Berryman B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator cleans and protects the crankcase and engine oil system on all gas-powered vehicles, and conditions and revitalizes seals and gaskets to help stop oil leaks. Berryman B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator contains zinc-based ZDDP and molybdenum moly to help fight friction, heat, and wear. It helps prevent sludge formation to maximize engine performance and life. Don't put up with those pesky oil leaks. Add some Berryman B60 to your motor oil and add another level of protection for your engine. Learn more about Berryman B60 and other great products at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm place on a cold day.
Football
I want to be a
stadium.
bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Great program today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you, and I'm just your personal car consultant. Just call me that. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part today by Clarius, the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries, which are precision engineered to meet the electrical demands that we put on today's vehicles. You can learn more at autobatteries.com. That's autobatteries.com. And I might add that Clarius, a Clarius battery, is in one of 3 cars or 3 vehicles in the world. 1 out of every 3 vehicles runs a Clarius battery. Bet you didn't know that. For more information, again, go to autobatteries.com. Now we're going to go to Arkansas, talk with Ben. Ben, thank you so much. You are a very patient individual. You've been on hold for a while. Thanks for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thanks for having me, Bobby. I've been listening to your show a long time. I've held on the phone a few times, but this is the first time on the show. And I have another farm truck we bought 2 years ago, 06 Dodge Durango.
Yes, sir.
Run, drive, everything excellent. A couple weeks ago, I went out, battery was dead. Had an indicator light on the dash, or just a round dot, red.
Right.
Rolled it forward to jump start it. About 30 yards, jump started it, fired right up, excellent, run great. But I took the cables off, closed the other truck, closed it up, got in my truck, and I had 7 dash lights on.
Right.
And before this truck run excellent, 117,000 miles. I'd only owned it 2 years. But I took it to a mechanic shop. He put it on a machine, cleared all codes because the truck run excellent. He drove it. He said, well, you got a lot of problems. I said, no, it runs great. And he drove it with me around the block, and it run everything. Cleared all the codes, started the truck, and all 6 of the 7 came back on, cleared an airbag light. And the only code that shows back up on his handheld machine that he plugged the chip under the dash was a right bank heater something.
Oxygen sensor.
And that day it was super warm, super chilly. And my heater, by the time we done took it on his test drive, was blowing super hot.
Well,
I have 7 dash lights on, including brake lights,
right,
traction control, all kinds of things.
Okay,
and the truck runs excellent.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. Number one, whenever the short story is this: there are 25 modules that are all connected to the battery, and these are electronic modules. Each one of those modules has its own task. One, the ABS. Measures the speed of the wheel so that when you, in a panic stop, nail the brakes, and whichever wheel locks up, that computer will know that, and it will operate the ABS system and pump that brake so that it'll stop locking up. But when there's a voltage issue of dead voltage or low voltage or reduced immediate voltage, that ABS system doesn't get its fair share, and it has, like the body control module, which the body control module is another module that controls all the interior lights and the radio and the speedometer on some cars and the door locks on some cars. Those modules depend on constant voltage. Whenever voltage drops down to zip, here's a better example. Imagine you and I are driving in a car and the bridge is out, but we don't know it. It's nighttime. And we drive ahead, and the next thing we know, we're falling. Now, I mean, that'd be a terrible thing to happen. But that sense of falling, our bodies would say, hey, it's too late. We got a problem here. So having said that, if we were going up a hill and then went down the hill, we could feel that same fall, but it wouldn't be the same thing because it's a gradual. So the voltage reading in today's cars recognizes the hill versus the crevasse, the bridge that's out. Meaning, when voltage is at a steady 12 to 15 volts in that range, and then it goes zip to 8 or 6, the other modules say, wait a minute, there's a bridge out, let's disconnect. And so those components saw a voltage issue, and they say, hey, I'm out of here. I can't do it. I don't want to get damaged in this wreck that's going to happen, so they disconnect. So here's what I advise you to do. I advise you, number one, of course, need to find out why the battery was dead, and if the battery's over 4 years old, just put a new battery in it. Don't even test it.
I did.
Okay, good.
I did replace the battery, and same.
All right, so here's what you want to do. You want to remove the battery cable, and get this, you want to take the battery, the plus and the minus cable, and they're both loose. You got them in your hand. And I want you to touch the plus and the minus cables together, not at the battery, just by themselves. Now, understand, the battery's not even in the car now. Just imagine the battery's out of the vehicle. You touch the positive and the plus together. What that will do is that will immediately drain any residual leftover voltage that may be in the keep alive memory for the radio or the windows or mirrors and what have you. But it's okay to do that. That will also help to clear any of those codes or that may have still be hanging in there. Even though he cleared the codes, there's nothing like doing what I just said to eliminate any leftover voltage in the whole system. Now, after you touch those cables together, then put the battery back in the car or hook it back up, and then crank the engine and and turn the key on and make sure the lights work. Crank the engine and let it run and see what happens there. And if then whatever light, if the light comes back on, then recheck it with the scanner to find out which code is really the culprit here. And a heated, that you said a right bank heated, that is an oxygen sensor, has nothing to do with the heater of the vehicle. It is an oxygen sensor that uses a cigarette lighter element inside to bring it up to 600 degrees, because an O2 sensor has to reach 600 degrees before it works. So the manufacturers came out with a way to superheat an O2 sensor so that the sensor didn't have to wait for the exhaust to get hot to heat itself up, because that takes about a minute and a half. Now an O2 sensor can come on board in 6 to 12 seconds because it's got its heater. And once it comes up to 600 degrees, it begins to work. So I know that's a lot of information, but that is what I would do as a starter point. And what that means is that once you, again, have the battery disconnected and you put the two cables together, you're going to drain any leftover voltage that's in the vehicle, and then you're going to hook the voltage back up and crank it, and then you're going to run the codes again, and then you can see what the next one up, and then if the next one comes up, like the O2 sensor, put a new O2 sensor in it, because it could have gone out at the same time, or maybe it was about to go out and looking for an excuse, and your dead battery gave it one. You got any questions?
Actually, I'm to the starter point, but I am, now that you say it, I am going to change that O2 sensor and clear them again, because I have cleared it.
Okay. And it comes back.
But you're very helpful, and it gives me another direction to go.
Okay.
And as for the Berryman, I've been using them since the 80s, back with I think it was a B12. Pour it in the gas tank, a big quart tin can. Wonderful product back then.
Well,
but you also mentioned a intake cleaner one today for
gasoline engines, yes.
Fuel-injected vehicles.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to get some for both of these today.
Thank you, Ben. Hey, and let me know when you get to the other side.
Jacket.
Yeah. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. We'll put your name in the hat. Okay, let's go from Arkansas to New York. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And Jim, thanks for holding. You've been there a while, too. Appreciate you.
Yeah, Bobby, I've talked to you before. I listen to your show religiously every Saturday.
Thank you.
Question on, you've recommended before these Sylvania Ultra Star light bulbs.
I did. I have. I use them.
Well, I just looked. Well, I have looked them up. I know you get some misinformation a lot on the internet, but people claim that they don't last. That they have a short lifespan.
Who's they?
Have you had any experience with that?
I have, and I've never had a complaint. I mean, let me back up. 10 years ago, I'm going to say 10 years ago, I don't know what year, I don't know how long it was. It's 6 or 8 years ago. I actually met the Sylvania executives at SEMA, which I used to go every year. And that's where I was able to meet the engineer and also to see in their demo booth the differential between a standard bulb and the Silver Star Ultra. And it was in a little, like a black box control booth, you know, the size of a phone booth, maybe twice the size. And it was just amazing. I'll say this, Sylvania would not put out a product that didn't have a lifespan. And I don't know what the guarantee of the bulb is, but I don't know where you got that information, but I can assure you, I mean, I gave a pair of those bulbs, and they're not sponsors of mine. I gave a pair of those bulbs to my brother, and lo and behold, as a gift, as some other parts that I sent to him. And he called me and he says, "You know what? I feel like an idiot." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, I put those Sylvania and they're the Silver Star Ultras in my car, and I already had upgraded my bulbs." He said, "But there's a drastic difference." And he's a car guy. I mean, he's older than I. But he loves cars, and so he knows, and it was just amazing. Out of all the good parts I sent him, which were for his Toyota was a water pump and struts or something like that, and I threw in some bulbs, and I said, "You got to have these because Anyway, the bottom line: don't worry about whether or not they last. They are last, and I would do this just for your information, Jim. Go to Sylvania-automotive.com. That's their website, Sylvania-automotive.com, and look at that bulbs and look up that Silver Star Ultra and look at the amount of current draw versus OE. And that is almost, I think they're saying they're 50% brighter, but they don't draw any more current. So as far as the longevity of the bulb, I challenge that whoever told you that, I would challenge that.
Okay, well, you said that. What was that website again? Sylvania? Sylvania-automotive.com. Sylvania-automotive.com. It should have been easier than that. I don't know why Sylvania, but anyway, it should have been Sylvania light bulbs. But anyway, Sylvania-automotive.com. You got it? I hope you have, because I got to go. I'll be back after this break. Jesse and Joseph, I'm coming to you. And also, those of you who are calling in now, let's go. 888 Car Clinic. Folks, recently a 99 Chevrolet Blazer came into the shop. The owner was having problems with hesitation upon acceleration. He'd already changed out several parts: spark plugs, wires, ignition coil, mass airflow sensor, fuel filter, and the air filter element. He even changed the thermostat and coolant temperature sensor. Still had the same problem after putting a lot of money in this car, and he was frustrated. We dug a little deeper, cleaned the throttle body, and checked for trouble codes. No codes. So we recommended Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Carbon deposits and dirty fuel injector nozzles are a common problem with drivability in late model engines. We also recommended a higher quality gasoline. The customer noticed improvement on the first day, and only a few days and a few hundred miles later, the problem was completely gone. Berryman B12 Chem Tool features HEST, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. The result is a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She, too, was surviving kidney disease. And she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now, you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Thank you for tuning in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic every week from 10 till noon Eastern Time. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part today by Motorcraft. OE-approved specs and performance for all your Ford and Lincoln repairs. Motorcraft. Right part, priced right. You can learn more at motorcraft.com. That's motorcraft.com. We're going to go to Owego, New York. Jesse, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Bobby, good morning from Kung Fu Central.
You are so ridiculous. I want to send you a free. I'm gonna give you a gift for calling today, Jesse. You know what it's going to be? A roll of toilet paper.
Hey! I could probably use one right now.
No,
oh my God! You
got
my girlfriend laughing.
Well, let me tell you. I left work yesterday, and so my friend walks out and he says, "Bobby, I have a gift for you. I said, "Whoa, wow, well, this is great." And lo and behold, he reached in the back of his Audi. No, it's BMW. Well, Audi, BMW, 6-in-1. Anyway, and he hands me a roll of toilet paper. I said, "Well, thanks for the toilet paper." Not a toilet paper, he says, a gift. and so, anyway, I thought about you, and I didn't think about you in that vein, but I'm just saying that there are no rolls of toilet paper on the shelves of anywhere in the nation right now. But let's talk about your call, and welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Always good to hear from you.
Okay. I don't know why, but when you brought up your Bob Likis jackets, I was laughing because Carol only lives like 20 miles away from me. Can you imagine if me and her both won one and we ran into each other? It would be priceless.
Oh my gosh! Well, hey, we could start our own little. Just think. Maybe I should send a jacket to you and a jacket to her, and should I send a roll of toilet paper to both of you too? I don't know. Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. Let's talk about cars.
All right. Now, I had a Dodge Omni way back in the day, and I always carried a timing belt with me. And guess what? I was like 400 miles away from where I lived on the highway when it broke, and I had to change a timing belt on the freaking highway.
You personally did this?
Yes.
Well, how do you know how to do that? I mean, really, it wasn't a very sophisticated car, but still, a timing belt has to be timed precisely and what have you. Luckily for you, that's not an interference engine, because if it were interference, it would have possibly damaged the valves when.
You got that right.
Oh yeah. Honda. If it had been a Honda, he'd have closed the door because you would have bent the valves. And I've always said this. The cost of repair to an engine that when a timing belt breaks with interference, which means the valves and the pistons can collide, depends on the RPM at which the belt broke. And so if you turn 3,000 RPM, you're going to spend $3,000. If you're cranking the engine at 300 RPM, you spend about $300. And you know what? That was truer than I ever thought, because a timing belt normally would break not driving down the road. A timing belt normally breaks when you first crank it in the morning, because the distance between the cam and the crank is closer when the engine is cold, because the head is closer to the crank when it's cold, because the whole block is collapsed or contracted, and therefore whatever slack is there when it's hot is really doubled or half again when it's cold. But anyway, what else you got on your mind?
Well, vehicle maintenance, I'm just saying that is a big deal, especially when you talked about the fluids.
Oh.
I mean,
but nobody, who knows that? Who knows that, Jesse? People think, this is a loaded question that I have. 2 loaded questions. Don't tell anybody, because this has been my own loaded question for 28 years here. Number one, somebody calls in and says, I got 175,000 miles on my car, and it's in the shop. It's going to take $2,000 to fix it. What do you think? My question is, has it been a good car? And then I don't say anything. And the answer is,
oh yeah, this has been a great car. I change the oil every 5,000 miles. I mean, like that's all you do. And so then they're hooked. And I say, well, then spend the $2,000 because, and oh yeah, then they go on to say, yeah, I changed the oil. I've never had it in the shop. 175,000 miles. It's just true. And I should never even tell that, but that's because that's one of my trick questions. And then another question is, you stop 100 people coming out of a mall and ask them what maintenance is, and they're going to tell you change an oil and filter. Because they don't know. It's just because they don't know. That's the reason the show continues to be so popular, is because I'm just here to help, And so anyway, thank you so much for your call, and you keep on the lookout. Then at the 55 after, 56 after or so, I want to draw a name out of the hat.
Okie doke. I'm going to try to I wish I put a patent on the Kung Flu. I could have retired by now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, if you come up with a cure for it, you can still retire by now. Okay, take care, man.
Well, okay, you too. I'm looking out for test kits for stupidity, but I doubt there's a cure for that either. So,
okay. All right. See you, Jesse.
Take care, bud.
Thank you. That's what I love about this program. Let's go to Joseph. Joseph, thanks for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hi, Bobby.
Hi, sir.
Bobby, I have a Toyota Prius, and it's a great car. It's been a great car, but I haven't had the occasion to take it to a shop, and I was just wondering, do I need a special mechanic to work on a Toyota hybrid?
I'm going to say absolutely. And I absolutely, I sincerely, yes, you do, and I'll tell you why. And you need that same. Here's what the mechanic has to be: a technician. And in my opinion, in order to be qualified to work on your car, that technician needs to be a master ASE certified technician. And a master, there are 8 categories in ASE testing. And one is G1, general, and then it goes up to suspension, then brakes, then engines, then electrical, which is a biggie because of today's cars. Now, I don't even know if I could pass an electrical ASE exam, but that shows that technician cares enough about the industry that get his professional training and takes the test and has documentation and certification, and it's called ASE Master Certification, and Master has to have passed all 8 categories. And to that end, our requirement in our service shop is that ASE technicians have to be ASE certified, and there are different levels, so they're working. And Tommy Bernardino has 6 of his 8. Johnny Bars, who is our master, he's me in the shop. Okay, he's a Jedi. He is a master, and he's had additional classes. And we had one of my best friends, the Tibbetts, brought their Prius in, and we had to put an ABS module. The whole assembly was terrible. Had to take had to take the cowl apart and half the nose of the car apart just to get to the ABS module. I got a picture of him putting his fingers through the firewall from the inside, and I took it from the outside. And he is the only person that I would allow in my shop to touch that car. So the answer is absolutely. And I'll tell you something else, Joseph. In changing oil and filter in your car, if a technician doesn't know what he's doing, that car can start in the middle of an oil change.
Really?
Really. So to answer your question is absolutely, yes. I'm glad you called.
But just regular maintenance, like changing fluids and brakes and so on.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Go ahead. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have a mechanic I've been using for years, and he's got all the certifications. I don't know if he's master. I don't think so. But I was just thinking normal maintenance outside of working on a hybrid system, if he would be the type of guy that would be qualified to do that.
Absolutely. The type. You clarified that. You qualified it. The type of guy. And what does that mean? It means his mindset. Does he care enough about what he's doing in his profession to go to school,
because he has to not only go to school and take the test, but he's sequestered. We send our guys to the University of West Florida, and they're sequestered. They got a pencil, no cell phones, a pencil and the test, and they say go. And they have X amount of time to answer the questions, and when it's over, and that time is up. And if they've got to get, whatever the number of questions, 75% or whatever the questions correctly. And so for me, not only is ASE certification in my shop required, the master is required. And what we do is we actually give raises for every single step of the way. So if somebody comes in and starts as an apprentice, and then works his way up to ASE certification, then 1 step, 2 steps, then finally the 8th step to a master, then that person is going to make more money than he did at 7 or 6 or 5 or 4 or nothing at all. So for my nickel, as long as I've been in a service business, I mean, let's face it, would you go to a doctor that didn't have his degree on the wall?
No way.
No way. No way. And let me tell you something, the body hasn't changed since you and I were born, but cars have changed since yesterday, and they continue to change yesterday. So I'm really glad you called, as you can tell, and I'll put your name in a hat for the coat. And by the way, just for you to know, Fabio, who is our director, our producer, is working the board right now. He's on his 2nd Prius. And Fabio, how many miles did you have? 200 on the first Prius?
Yeah, that's right.
200,000.
Yeah.
He had 200,000, and the only reason that he got rid of it is because it got in a wreck and got totaled. And what'd you buy now?
2010 Prius.
So he went from a 97. Is that what you had?
No, it was a 04.
04. Well, it looked like a 97. Anyway, it really his car was terrible looking. It had the paint was all bad on it. So now he's got a good looking, but he's on his 2nd Prius, and he's not a car guy. I mean, but he doesn't have problems. Anyway, Joseph, I'll let you go, and I appreciate your call. But that's a great question, and you please follow through. And one last, let me point you in a direction. You can go to ASA Shop, not ASE, asashop.org, and you can find shops that are members of the Automotive Service Association, which is also the higher echelon of shop owners. And I can assure you those ASA members are going to have ASE certified techs working with them. You got it?
I'll go on the internet right now and find one. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome, Joseph. Thank you for your call. Let's go to Lakeland, Florida. Ray, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hello.
Hey, you're on the air.
Okay. I was going to ask you about another question, but I want to brag a little bit first.
Okay.
You keep talking about the high mileage. I'm driving an 01 Silverado with 247,000 miles on it, and it runs like a clock.
Well, you definitely got something going there for you. I mean, and the cars are made better than they ever have been made before. The problem is, and what I really have found, two problems. There's more than that, but let's just cut it because of time constraints. Number one, manufacturers and the aftermarket are telling you that the car's good. You don't have to change the transmission fluid for 100,000 miles. Ford says 150. GM says, we don't do transmission flushes anymore. Toyota says we don't flush the transmission until it gets 60,000 miles. Well, guess what? At 60,000 is when the warranty goes out of the transmission. So the bottom line is the operational procedures of franchise dealers is dictated by their franchise, and that's the manufacturers that make the cars they sell. An independent shop doesn't have to live by that. An independent shop lives by making a customer return if that shop is worth its salt. And the way you get customers to return is you service their cars to where their money outlasts the repair bill. And it's that simple. It really is that simple, but it's a philosophy that darn few shop owners really practice, and the ones that do have been in the business for a long time and are successful, like me, 48 years and 9 months. But anyway, did you have a question? Because I'm out of time.
Yeah, you talk about the CVT transmissions a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, what's the difference in that and the old Buick Dynaflow?
Well, if you're blindfolded, that's a great question. That's a great question. And folks, what Ray is referring to is a Dynaflow Buick. Way back years before I was born, or when I was a kid, a Dynaflow Buick had a slip-o-matic. You put it in gear, and you step on the gas, and the engine, and the car would just creep off because it had a lot of torque. It had a high speed, high RPM torque converter. And a torque converter is the fluid drive connector that connects the engine to the transmission to the wheels. So if you got a fluid drive and it's 1 inch, you got to spin 1,000,000 RPM to get the car to go. If it's a 12-inch, then it's going to move the car. So that's the difference between a high stall speed converter and low stall speed. Now, a CVT transmission uses a whole different scenario. It uses a different kind of a pulley drive. And if you'll tune in next week, I'll share with you exactly what that is. And Ray, thank you for your call. Folks, I talked about it at the first of the program. I was going to give away a prototype Bobby Likis car clinic jacket, and I am going to do that. But not only am I going to do that today, for every person that called in, I'm going to put your name in the hat. So next week, I'm going to have not only next week's callers, because the reason for this is I'm giving away a jacket today, and I'm giving away one next week. But today's winner is Carol in New York. Don't you love it? I'll have to send somebody a roll of toilet paper too, but next week, tune in. And congratulations, Carol. You just won your car clinic jacket.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby
Likis
Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Insurance 101, courtesy of Grundy Insurance. Collision coverage represents physical damage coverage for your vehicle when it hits or is hit by another object, including a car. You don't need to be driving, nor does the engine need to be turned on. But what if something happens to your vehicle that doesn't fall under collision coverage? That's why comprehensive coverage is important. It can provide protection against scenarios like fire, theft, flooding, and contact with an animal. Learn more at the Insurance 101 section at Grundy.com. That's Grundy.com.
O'Reilly. Save big during O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque Tools DIY Day sale. We have great deals on socket sets, impact wrenches, and more. Need a new battery? Right now, get up to a $15 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after mail-in rebate when you purchase select Superstart batteries. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grown, now you're here.